Hello everyone and welcome to the Redmen TV. I'm a very early and on time Ste Dan, joined by Mr. Chris Pajak and Dan Club over at the board. I do not know what all the fuss is about. We are here to preview Union Saint-Gilloise versus Liverpool. For some of you, it might be a meaningless game, but for other ones of you, it might also be a meaningless game. But we're still going to have quite a lot of fun talking about it and seeing how many of the players me and Chris actually know things about. Now, Dan's our expert under 21 connoisseur.
Oh my God, be careful.
Liverpool under 20.
Connoisseur and under 21s.
I mean, yeah. You take that how you will, but Chris, it is strange here really, because we often sit watching Liverpool, and this season feels like it's going to be like the seasons of years gone by where every game is just going to be full of jeopardy, and because the rewards are so great that the risk is always so great as well. It's kind of nice that you can just kind of have a little chill here and maybe just look at a couple of players and see how this one goes, because every game, like pretty much from this point in, is going to be filled with nerves.
Well, yeah, that's it. We know we're heading into one of the toughest periods of the year, and you know the pressure's on, so to speak, because of where we are in the league table, and you know who the games are against. You know, Manchester United and Arsenal, cup quarter final in the Carabao coming up as well. So massive games even before we get into the tough yards of actual Christmas and what that entails. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget that they try and squeeze a Christmas in as well, and that sort of plays on what they're doing in training and all that type of stuff. So to get a game like this at this point of the season, right before you head into Manchester United, West Ham in a quarter final, and then Arsenal in the Premier League in what could be a top of the table clash, it looks like brilliant. Like, it looks like absolutely superb. But it's what Klopp does with his side, isn't it? Because we've seen him go stronger than people would suggest almost every time we've been in this position before, to be fair to Jürgen. He is consistent in playing his lads and giving them minutes and stuff, and I just wonder whether, with what's on the line at the moment, whether this might be the game where he actually does what the fans have kind of wanted him to do in past years.
He's left a lot of players out, so we'll go to Dan at the board in a moment to see but he's left out the people haven't even got on the aeroplane. So Alisson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah, I was quite surprised about. We've seen Mo play in these little bit of a dead rubber games before. There's been a few others. Alexis Mac Allister's another one. And before we do go over to the board to speak to Dan, Jürgen Klopp was actually talking about Alexis Mac Allister and what he described as an injury that he's never seen before. So yeah, let's go and speak to the boss about Alexis Mac Allister, and then we'll come back and have a little chat about the team.
Well, I'm obviously not a doctor, but still, like, they explain it to me pretty much every day why he's not ready yet. And it's obviously it's a bit more tricky than we thought in the first moment. So the other boy stepped on his knee, and the stud, is it there? From the bruise stud. Stood. I don't know. That's so the thing under the boot and went through pretty much the muscle to the bone. So. And now we have to wait until the bone is healed and until Maka can deal with the pain, because it's pretty painful. But Maka is actually a super tough guy, so we have probably to make sure that just from an infection point of view nothing happens. So that's really important. So it was a really never had this injury on one of my players before, but now we have it, and I hope it will not take that long. But I would like to say it's day by day. But that would look like he could maybe play the next game, but they will not be ready for that as well. So I hope the next 3-4 days he makes big steps, and then we will see.
Yeah. Welcome back. Yeah, so no Alexis Mac Allister. We've heard all about the other players who aren't there as well, but Liverpool's official team is out. So I'm going to head over to Mr. Dan Club, who's going to tell us all about it. Go ahead, Dan.
Yes, let's do this. Liverpool have thrown me an absolute curveball by naming it in numerical order. Not something they do week in, week out. So if it wasn't already another mixed bag of a team, they've absolutely done me that. I initially thought Endo was right back, but it turns out I think this is it. So we've got Keith Kelleher in goal, as expected, no surprises there. Conor Bradley deputising for the Trent, who hasn't gone over to Belgium at all. At right back, Ibu Konate starts. I imagine he'll do 45 in the swap with Gomez, but we'll see. Joel Quansah alongside him. Luke Chambers comes in at left back. Endo starts, which is a little bit of a surprise to me, with Mac Allister, as we know, now not being available the weekend. That's a bit of a shock. Harvey Elliott, no surprises there. I think he deserves to start in some competition. He's been absolutely brilliant of late. Curtis Jones also alongside. He feels like he needs minutes, so it doesn't shock me too much. And then Ben Doak on the right wing. We've seen him quite a lot in the Europa League, so no shock there either. Cody Gakpo. Yeah, okay, sound. And Kaide Gordon returns to first team duty after a long spell out with an injury. And the bench is absolutely chocker, but let's do it. We've got...
Have you got them right?
Pitaluga.
Pitaluga, Rozek.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gravenberch, Joe Gomez, Darwin Núñez, James McConnell, Louis Diaz, Callum Scanlon, Kostas Tsimikas, Dom Szoboszlai, Tom Hill and Lewis Kumas.
Oh yeah, that's everyone in the squad, is it?
Yeah, so that's 23 of them.
Okay. That's why you got it right.
Or everybody else left.
He had just everyone on the board.
It's not my first rodeo, I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
Dan touched upon it there. There's a lot to get through, so we'll get through it now, Chris. The Endo is, if you said to me who isn't going to play, I'm shocked Endo's playing, just because we heard from the boss before, Alexis Mac Allister. I mean, it must have been some force. He said, you know, the stud went right to the bone, which is, I mean, it's gross for a starting point. But I just presume James McConnell will be the number 6 in this one, given that he's been in and around it a little bit more. But it could be that he's just giving Endo a little bit of a run. He obviously came off a half-time against Crystal Palace, and maybe just try and get him back into a little bit of form ahead of the United game, where he is going to have to play again. Is there anyone else on that team list who you're shocked by, or is it the Endo one, really?
No, the Endo one's it. I mean, what it tells me is that Gravenberch is starting against Manchester United, which I was probably a little bit surprised about.
Agreed.
I was wondering whether Jones might come in for Manchester United. Now, if he makes changes on 45, you never know, that could change. But with Gravenberch not starting and Jones and Elliott starting, it says to me that he's in the side, probably alongside Szoboszlai. That then leaves the other midfield spot up for grabs, doesn't it? Which you'd imagine would just go straight to Endo. Will he throw us a bit of a curveball at the weekend? I doubt it. I imagine that Endo's going to come off in this game at some point. But other than that, I'm actually quite pleased to see. You know, we've seen Chambers earlier on in the competition. We know what Bradley's able to do. We've seen Doak. I'm really excited to see Kaide Gordon again, because it's been one of those stop-start sort of starts to a Liverpool career for him, and you know, a fella that is thought so highly of inside the football club, that you just get excited to see what he's about again, because you know, we've seen little fits and starts from him, but not really enough. And then the other thing is Gakpo playing also takes him out of the Manchester United game. Probably, for the most part, you would guess that, which means that we again get to look forward to maybe Núñez at the weekend. And again, I'm a little bit surprised about that. I wondered whether it would be Gakpo or Núñez today, and again, it would Jones or...
Would you be shocked though if they do 40? Again, that's what could happen here, because they could just easily do 45 each and leave you guessing, I suppose. Like, we'll see how it goes. I suppose we had a comment here actually from Tyler on the Endo thing. I'll come to you with this one actually, Dan. He says... Maybe this means Trent plays in the number 6 against Man United. He got moved there against Crystal Palace. Joey Gomez has also been left on the bench. So if he wanted to, obviously as well, no...
It's a good shout out.
That's a potential.
Yeah. Gomez is not in the starting team.
Yeah.
No, there is something in that, of course there is. It's not where I fall down on it personally, but I do think we will see Trent in the 6 over the coming matches, particularly if Mac Allister's out for longer than just this weekend. I think we'll definitely see a bit more of Trent, maybe against West Ham, potentially against Arsenal as well. But for the weekend, I don't necessarily see that. I think the Wataru stuff is interesting. I definitely didn't expect him to start. However, you kind of alluded to it a moment ago, Steve. Maybe there's sports science at play here, and he needs minutes in his legs if he's going to get his rhythm back, because he hasn't played loads and loads of footy, so he really doesn't want to stay still. I think he's got a magnet in the middle, that's the problem. But anyway, regardless of that, I think there might be sports science, and they might be telling Klopp, listen, if you want Wataru to be at his best level, his optimum levels for the weekend, you need to get some minutes in him in midweek. So I would be amazed if he played over an hour. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he came off at 45. Likewise with a couple of others, including Konate. But yeah, Trent, of course, remains an option for the 6. He always is, it appears now. But I think it's more of a case of getting some rhythm into Wataru's game.
Yeah, fair enough. It all makes sense. You touched on Kaide Gordon before, Chris. It's interesting. Jürgen spoke about him at the press conference as well and said he was too good to play under 21, so he put him in the first team, and his body the demands maybe got to him and he grew. And basically, that's what caused the hip injury. If you look at him now, and we're going to see him in a bit, for those who haven't watched Kaide Gordon, he's grew up, he's fucking massive. Like he's had this growth spurt, and it feels like he was the next big thing. Like he was in Liverpool's team in a League Cup semi-final. This kid, he was up front in games. He scored senior goals for Liverpool already, and then he become the forgotten man, and then Ben Doak become the next right wing thing, in Liverpool's side. Like Kaide Gordon could be the next super. Who knows what he's going to be? But it's certainly interesting that you mentioned before. He started. He got himself in the team really early in the first team squad, and he's been out for ages, absolutely ages. He's come back as a different player. Now it'll be interesting to see how his game has changed, because back then he was known as like the best finisher. That was his thing. He was a supreme finisher. We're probably going to see him either up front or on the left later, depending on where Gakpo plays. It's going to be interesting to have a look at the new Kaide Gordon.
Well, exactly, and I think the thing for me is I want to see where he is in terms of in a comparison to Ben Doak, because I'm really excited about the future for Ben Doak. Obviously, he's scandalously young, like for a start, raw, exactly, but so exciting, so good in one-on-one situations. He might actually be the best dribbler at the football club already, Ben Doak, which is mad to say, but his end product isn't there. No. At the moment, because he's so young. So can Gordon just sort of slot in that sort of age gap that's a little bit between what we've got currently and what Ben Doak is? Because if he can, then he's going to be a really good squad player for us over the next couple of years. And maybe there's a progression into the first team. Maybe it slows down Ben Doak's progression, but maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe Ben needs to go out and play regular football against men for a long time, but maybe it's too early at the moment for him. So yeah, really excited to sort of compare the two side by side, because again I've just been so impressed with Ben Doak. But if Kaide Gordon can come in and have a bit more impact, then that's better for us.
Absolutely. We've got a quick comment here from Dino. Says, who's Liverpool's captain? Liverpool's captain's Kit Jones. There's the answer for that one. Dino, nice comment here. Dan, I'll come over to you with this one. It's actually on Twitter. Tonight, Conor Bradley becomes the first Northern Ireland player in history to start a game in Europe for Liverpool FC. His previous two European appearances came as a substitute. Now, on Conor Bradley, he was meant to be the backup right back this season by all accounts. That was the plan. He did so well on loan at Bolton, and then he got another injury in pre-season. Liverpool in the second half of the season, we are now a Joel Matip-less Liverpool. If Liverpool are looking for a backup right back, and as well as Gomez has done there, you start getting to a point where Gomez can't be everything at all times. If Conor Bradley can just be the one who spots Trent Alexander-Arnold a little bit more, that could help Liverpool out as well. So it's a big game for him.
No, it is, yeah, absolutely, and you're right. You mentioned I think he was really impressive over the summer in pre-season. I seen him up close and personal a couple of times. I was really pleased with what I've seen, to be honest, especially when you consider the way Trent plays right back now for us. It looks like we're going to do that regardless who goes in there. Joe Gomez even gone in at right back and done the inverted thing a little bit. And Conor Bradley, he's very adept at doing that. His spell at Bolton last year, which you touched upon, it was very attack-minded. He scored a lot. He assisted quite a bit as well. So he kind of mirrors what Trent can do there. He's nowhere near as good. He's a lot younger, of course, still. But it's a like-for-like type right back that we're replacing him with. So I think it's a big night for Conor Bradley. The Northern Ireland thing's brilliant, by the way. But I think we can get a tune out of him between now and in the season. It's a shame, obviously, injuries have curtailed what he was meant to do forward, because I think we would have seen quite a lot of him in this competition had he been fit and available. But yeah, I think there's a couple of lads tonight. You mentioned Kaide Gordon and obviously even Luke Chambers at left back as well. A couple of lads tonight who will be sort of trying to stake a claim for involvement in the second half of the season, because if Liverpool are going to be going for all four fronts, and obviously we lose like Mohamed Salah, we lose Wataru Endo at points as well in January, if we are going to be competing for 4 trophies, we're going to need the squad to look as deep as possible, and these lads will definitely have a role to play.
Jose, because I suppose as well, like when you have a good loan, the next step is you become a fringe player, and these type of games where you don't get many opportunities. If Liverpool are in a position where they're going to be battling for 4 trophies, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they're certainly in a title race. They've got a League Cup quarter final in next week. Who knows? The FA Cup's tough. They've got Arsenal, but they're in big games that have very few opportunities for young players to prove themselves. So if you're Conor Bradley, having unfortunately missed a lot of football, where he probably would have played 5 or 6 European games if he had this chance, it feels like there's a lot on this game for him. So he's the type of player who we're saying dead rubber, but for him it's a massive opportunity.
No, it is, because there's not many left. That's exactly the thing. Yeah. By the time we get into the knockout stages, you can't imagine that those opportunities are going to be coming around, because for all the good that he did on his loan and stuff, Joe Gomez has been sensational covering for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yeah, sure. Now, Conor Bradley, of course, will, I think, only come in if there is injuries elsewhere and Gomez is used elsewhere. Other than that, he's now the number 3 right back in my head, and probably in Klopp's as well, because it's such a big jump, isn't it? I mean, I know he had a great loan spell. I've got the stats up in front of me. 41 games, 5 goals, 5 assists for them, and I know at times he was playing right wing as well, rather than just right back. But what we've got to remember is it was League One football. Yep. Like, this isn't Liverpool Premier League chasing a league title, and I hate sounding down on it and stuff like that, but we know Joe Gomez has done it. We know Joe can do it, but as I say at the start, he has got one opportunity now really and he's got to grasp it with both hands, because he'll have improved hopefully since last season, and with games with better players than he was playing with last season, he's got that opportunity to kick on.
So you've got a stat here from Michael Reid, friend of the show. Michael's been on a few times. Says with an average age of 22 years, 156 days, Liverpool's youngest ever starting 11 named for a European match. And Dan, look at that team behind you. I suppose it's helped by the fact that the first teamers who were on that team are very young, so Harvey and Curtis and Kwanzaa and Kelleher, they're all lads who they're the reserve / first team players, but they're all kids as well. There are very few old heads in there. The likes of Wataru Endo and Kaide Gordon.
Endo is obviously the oldest there. Is Kelleher the second oldest?
I was just thinking, he's the only one 30 and above, I think, isn't he?
Yeah,
And
so I think Kelleher's 25, which might put him ahead of Gakpo and Konate, and definitely everybody else.
But Joey Gomez.
But he's not inside, and it's on the side, isn't it?
Yeah, on the first 11.
It's on the first 11.
Okay, right, yeah, then you have Miles.
So Kelleher, the second oldest, which is mental, isn't it?
Comfortably, yeah.
And a really young Liverpool side, so he has rung the changes. We touched on there, Dan. I see the way you've lined it up on the board, because we've got a comment here. I'll bring it up now while I go through it. It's about Kaide Gordon. Yeah. It's from I Love Liverpool. He says, do you think someone like Kaide Gordon sees he's starting in this kind of game and gets a little bit bummed out? Like, it does feel like you're in the bomb squad a little bit when you're involved in these games. How do you think someone like Kaide Gordon, a Dutch international big player, feels about being surrounded by effectively Endo and a load of kids?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I also get it, obviously, because there is a little element of that. But I think you mentioned Endo there. He's obviously got Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones, who have been regular first.
Konate's first.
Well, he's the other one I was going to get.
It's a spine, Dan.
I
look
think
at it. Look at the spine.
I was always predicting that we'd have sort of senior lads in every single department across the team, and that's how it's turned out. The midfield is a lot more senior than I think anyone really expected, to be honest. But yeah, it's. You just got to look at it as an opportunity. We mentioned opportunity there with the likes of Bradley and Chambers. I think Gakpo should look at it in a very much the same way, because